Okay folks, I apologize for that last video of holding the camera in my hand and not aiming it properly. So for these shots I'll be using a tripod, which I'm using right now, and we'll try to keep the camera in better view of what I'm doing. Here is the radio portion of my Eveready radio, the power supply. Of course, I've evaluated that power supply and I know exactly what it's going to need to repair it. But now I have the radio part, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cover off and just take a look at the tuning capacitors to see what condition that they're in. And again, I have to be ultra careful that I don't bump the wheel, this pulley or tuning wheel that's made out of potted metal, because the right bump, I'll lose it. It'll break, and then I won't be able to use that part of it anymore. It will. Maybe I'll find somebody that actually can machine something that will replace it. But for now, I'm going to take this cover off so that we can see what the tuning capacitors look like. Tuning capacitors look very good. Typical TRF appearance, 3 sections. They look pretty clean. Nothing looks ready to fall apart or fail inside there. I don't think I have to worry about that. The interesting thing is this tuning, or this rotating coil on this side here. What could that be? What could that be for? Phasing. I see it on, let me get a little bit more bright light on that so you can see it. Let me look at my viewfinder to make sure it's still in view, seeing as how the last video I made was so terrible. I'll get the award for the YouTube award for making the worst videos possible. But see that? There's a coil. It's like a barometer. There's a coil wrapped around, and then a coil that rotates within it, and it's fixed. I mean, you can't adjust it. Here the capacitors are fully engaged. The plates are all the way in, and there's where the coil goes. And we start tuning to the other end, and the coil completely makes a reverse, just in line with these tuning capacitors. What could that be? How could that work? I've never seen anything like it. If anybody knows exactly what that is, please comment on this video. We'll take a look underneath the chassis as soon as I get the cover back over the capacitors. I'd like to point out, here are 3 tuning adjustments. Looks like there's a shaft that moves in. I should have looked at that closer when I had the cover off, but and I was going to point that out when I did have the cover off, but I didn't. But anyways, it looks like these are adjustable with a you can put a nut puller over this. There's a hex head there, and rotate them, and probably align this radio by adjusting these 3 adjustments here. Just thought I'd point that out. I failed to do so when I had this cover off. This hole here, I'm not sure what that's for. I don't see any adjustment in it, but that's what these are. There's 3 adjustments to fine-tune the radio. Okay, I've got this up on the tripod, the camera, hopefully not to make the same mistake I made with the part 2 video with not aiming it right. But there are 4 capacitors in here that I'm going to replace with ceramic capacitors, or new capacitors. This is a 0.5, this is a 0.5, this is a 1 mic, and this is a 2 mic. So I'll be replacing those. They may be good, but Those are obvious ones that maybe should be replaced. There are also, like, if you could kind of see it, I don't know if I can get good enough light on it. I don't know how well this will show up, but you can kind of see it. Here are mica capacitors. I found that those are generally usually good. At least that's what I found in the 1920s battery radios I've worked on. I'm not going to fool with those yet. What I'll primarily replace in here, I haven't checked this power resistor up in here and these other resistors. Let me see how this is showing up in the camera. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit, if you'll bear with me. Let me pull this thing a little closer. I'm trying to get some light in it. I need a better spotlight. But anyways, this thing looks pretty good. I don't see anything that's seriously bad with it, other than that pot metal wheel on the tuning dial. 4 capacitors at least. I don't know about the other resistors, but this is an interesting thing. This control here on the right side here, this is a book capacitor. So this must be kind of a fine tuning. This is I think the volume knob. It's a rheostat. It's also got a switch on it. If you turn it off, it doesn't turn the radio off. There's a phono input on this, and it turns the phono input on or off. I don't know. Maybe this is a volume control, but it's a book capacitor. Very, very strange. I've never seen a radio like this. I hope that I can get this thing working. It should be a fun radio to play around with.